Kore Mapenduka, and welcome to Africa Good Morning, the show that keeps you up to date with the latest news in Africa and beyond. My name is Glenora Shipura, joined by Diana Master. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
I'm doing quite well, considering how cold it is.
It is quite cold, actually.
And I see you are well prepared.
Oh, no. I've been checking the weather forecast.
Yes.
You know, winter is my favorite season.
Is it?
It's my favorite season. But, yeah, so I've been checking the weather forecast. I'm like, okay, I need to prepare accordingly and still slay in winter.
Yeah, I'm seeing.
All right, let's get into what you can expect in today's broadcast. Hunger haunts Ethiopia's Tigray region after years of war. Cholera warning, a South Africa death toll nears 50. And Niger in the grip of a blistering heat wave with high temperatures. We'll also be speaking to Mike Sichula in Zambia as he gives us the latest update on all the news making headlines that side. Stick around, we'll be back with our top stories right after this break.
Welcome to Active Kids, a daily TV show that sparks creativity, learning, and fun for young minds. With exciting activities and lessons, Active Kids inspires curiosity and a love for learning.
New face to the 15.
The perfect mix of play and education. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune into Active Kids on NTV every weekday at 10 o'clock and let the adventure begin.
Today is the 11th of July. Here are your top stories. Hunger haunts Ethiopia's Tigray region after years of war. In late June, a Reuters team made their first trip in 2 years to Tigray, the epicenter of the conflict. On the 4-day trip, they toured Mekelle and two towns, Abiy Adi and Sambre, visiting a hospital in each place and camps for the displaced. Guns fell silent after a November ceasefire following 2 years of fighting between regional forces and Ethiopia's federal army with its allies, a conflict that drove people from their homes, destroyed harvest, and disrupted food aid. A persistent drought has deepened the problems. About a fifth of the 6 million people in Tigray were severely food insecure in February, the World Food Programme WFP said. In a nation where 20 million people out of a total 120 million population rely on assistance.
Now there's been a cholera warning as South Africa death toll nears 50. The health authorities in South Africa are urging residents of the province of Gauteng to be vigilant about the liquids they consume as the death toll from a winter outbreak of cholera rises to nearly 50. Unions and community groups have demanded more government intervention to improve water quality. Most of the deaths over the last 6 weeks have occurred in the Hammanskraal area, where residents say they have battled for weeks for access to clean water, but there have been cases across the country. In many areas, tap water isn't safe and people are forced to rely on government tankers. Cholera, which is mainly spread by contaminated food and water, causes acute diarrhea and vomiting and can kill within hours if left untreated.
Now, Niger is in the grip of a blistering heat wave with high temperatures. Niger is currently in the grip of a blistering heat wave with high temperatures. The scorching heat is having a profound impact on both humans and livestock in the region. According to the National Meteorological Agency of Niger, temperatures have soared to a sweltering 47 degrees Celsius, about 116 degrees Fahrenheit in recent days. The extreme heat wave is taking a toll on the local population. The elderly and children are particularly susceptible to these severe conditions. In addition to the impact on human life, this heat wave is also having negative consequences on livestock. The intense heat is causing dehydration and heat stress among animals, leading to a decline in their overall health and productivity. Now, livestock mortality rates are increasing due to the harsh conditions. Earth's average temperature set a new unofficial record high on Thursday, the third such milestone in a week that already rated as the hottest on record, and what one prominent scientist says could be the hottest in 100,000 years.
Now, 5 trucks set alight in Mpumalanga. Mpumalanga police are on the hunt for a group of people who set 5 trucks alight in the Waterval Boven in Mpumalanga on Saturday evening. We are not sure what the motive was for setting alight those particular trucks, but people in 2 vehicles stopped the trucks before the Waterval Boven tunnel and set them alight. Police spokesperson Brigadier Sylvie Mohlala said they instructed the drivers to hand over their IDs and get out of the trucks before they set the vehicles alight. We are continuing with our investigation. No arrests have been made and we advise motorists to use the Schumanskloof Road, he added. The incident comes after armed assailants set alight 6 trucks at Van Riene's Pass in KwaZulu-Natal late on Saturday night. Police said armed men stopped the trucks near Van Riene's Pass, forced the drivers out of their vehicles and set the vehicles on fire. News 24 reported that the incident came just hours ahead of the 2nd anniversary of the July 2021 unrest that broke out on parts of South Africa. Widespread looting and riots occurred during the unrest and more than 350 people died.
Wrapping up our top stories, Nigeria's President Tinubu becomes new ECOWAS chair. Nigerian President Bola Tinubu has become the new chair of the West African Regional Bloc, ECOWAS, taking over from Guinea-Bissau's President Umaro Sissoco Embalo, and is expected to lead the group for the next year. It was announced at the 63rd ordinary session of the ECOWAS leadership at his first engagement within the African continent since he assumed office in May. Now, President Tinubu pledged to bear the responsibility of the office and run the regional organization as an inclusive administration. He will take democracy seriously. Democracy is very tough, but it is the best form of government, he said. Now, he added that the region was threatened by insecurity following activities of Islamist extremist groups, as well as political crisis following military coups in some countries. The threat has reached an alarming level and needs urgent action in addressing the challenges. Indeed, without a peaceful environment, progress and development in the region will continue to remain elusive, he said. In this regard, we must remain committed to the utilization of all regional frameworks at our disposal to address the menace of insecurity, he added. Now, his ECOWAS chairmanship comes while an ongoing legal challenge to the legitimacy of his Nigerian election victory remains in play.
That brings us to the end of our top stories. Now, after the break, Zambia and Tanzania have resolved to enhance security on the Tazama oil pipeline as it now transports finished petroleum products. We'll get into this story and more as we cross over to Zambia after the break.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Now, Zambia and Tanzania have resolved to enhance security on the Tazama oil pipeline as it now transports finished petroleum products. Here to bring us this story and more is Mike Sichula. Good morning, Mike.
Africa, good morning. Thank you very much for having me.
Mike, could you get into your first story, please?
Yes, as you've likely put it, Zambia and Tanzania share common bilateral relationships, and one of them is the hosting of the Tazama pipeline, which is 1,710 kilometers pipeline that passes through communities in Tanzania and Zambia. So Defense Minister Ambrose Lufuma, who is there in the picture on the left, and his counterpart, Minister of Energy, on his right, have been in Tanzania discussing these issues, because just after this pipeline was modified to carry finished petroleum products, some months ago, there was a more or less like a breaking, and fuel over 10,000 liters was wasted. So Mr. Lufuma says previously the pipeline was transporting commingled products, but now it is transporting finished product, hence the need to enhance security. So part of the security features that the two countries have been talking about is the deployment of drones along this stretch of over 1,710 kilometers, and also patrolling of using military personnel to patrol in communities where this pipeline can be damaged by people who have criminal minds. So this is something that the two countries have resolved to do in order to protect the finished product passing those pipelines.
All right, now, Mr. Sichula, in an interesting story, Mulungushi University has developed a machine that is being used to extract juice from honey. So how does this machine work?
Yes, this machine has been developed by a researcher in the School of Agriculture, Mwape Malunga, who says this is one way of responding to government's calls for stakeholders to promote value addition. So this machine, basically what it does is that they'll harvest the honey from its raw form in different locations, and also people bring. So when they press this honey onto this machine, then it begins to extract juice and also separate the other cake from the honey, and the honey just becomes as clean as it should be, and it is now packaged in other packaging so that it can reach the market. So this is one of the innovations that Zambia, using higher learning institutions, are beginning to bring out on the market to solve local problems using local institutions. So this machine is expected to undergo some further modification, some further improvement, so that once that is done, then it can be used in different parts of the country where honey is produced on a larger scale.
All right. Now moving on, what is the latest on the disappearance of former political advisor to President Edgar Lungu, Mr. Kaiser Zulu, who is reportedly to have fled the country?
The latest on this case is that one of his sureties, who happens to be his uncle, Munir Zulu, nephew actually, Munir Zulu, has been detained by police and is not likely to come out not until Mr. Zulu is found. But from information that we've been able to gather so far, Mr. Zulu is nowhere to be. That's him there in the picture. He's the former political advisor to President Edgar Lungu, but he has disappeared. Is wanted by police on suspicion that he was one of the ringleaders or masterminds of the gassing incidents that rocked Zambia during the administration of President Edgar Lungu. So he is disappeared. Other reports suggest that he is fled to Zimbabwe, but that is not confirmed. But when officers check his social media pages, they are found to be active. And sometimes when he's called, he will pick calls, but they do not know where he is. So the latest, like I've said, one of his sureties who is a member of parliament, is in police custody and is not likely to come out not until Mr. Zulu is found. So the whereabouts, police have not yet even given a clear indication on whether it is true that Mr. Kaiser Zulu has fled the country or is within the country. Those details are yet to be confirmed by police, who are still investigating this matter.
All right, now, Mr. Sichula, in some sports news, the Zambia women's national team has arrived in New Zealand for the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup. Tell us about this.
The Copper Queens, coming from a 3-2 victory over Germany, arrived in New Zealand yesterday, and they traveled in batches of 2. So those are some of them that arrived earlier. That is, that have set base in New Zealand ahead of the World Cup. So Zambia who are in Group C at the biggest Women's World Cup, and will tackle Japan on the 22nd of July before taking on Spain 4 days later. The team will conclude their group campaign against Costa Rica on the 31st of July 2023. So Zambia is featuring for the first time at the women's biggest senior women's World Cup, and a lot of expectations are high because of their their victory over Germany in their last World Cup preparatory match in Germany. So a lot of the spectators are expected to travel to New Zealand to cheer the Copper Queens. And the Football Association of Zambia, including the government, have pledged close to 10,000 United States dollars as winning bonuses if the team progresses from the group stage into as far as the quarterfinals, even the semifinals. These bonuses are aside what FIFA is offering to each player playing at the women's biggest soccer tournament.
Oh, all right. Thank you so much, Mike, for bringing us these stories from Zambia.
Thank you so much. Enjoy your week. Thank you, Africa. Good morning.
Now let's take a look at the weather predictions, and we'll be right back after that.
Let's take a look at our economic news. Mozambique double taxation agreements in the extractive sector penalize the country. Now, a prominent Mozambican NGO, the Center for Democracy and Development, believes that double taxation agreements in the extractive sector penalize the country. According to the research unveiled recently and published by CDD, in 2021 alone, Mozambique lost $315 million in double taxation agreements with two tax havens, namely Mauritius and the United Arab Emirates, an amount equivalent to 7.4% of the country's tax revenue. Now, Mauritius and the United Arab Emirates are used by companies operating in the extractive sector in the country to evade paying taxes at the cost of the double taxation agreements that exist between these countries and Mozambique. In these countries, multinationals create front companies that are later used to evade taxes, says the CCD study.
Now, Sudanese airspace to remain closed to all traffic until the 31st of July. The Sudanese Civil Aviation Authority has extended the closure of Sudan's airspace until July 31st, with the exception of humanitarian aid and evacuation flights with permission from authorities, Khartoum International Airport announced on Monday. This exception aims to ensure that essential supplies reach those in need and facilitate the safe evacuation of individuals affected by the conflict.
Let's take a look at our economic indicators before we get into your sports news.
Now let's take a look at the sports news with Ari Hochad.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, and starting off with Wimbledon. It is week 2 of Wimbledon. Exciting tournament, also one of the 4 majors in the women's and men's tennis calendar. On the men's side of the draw, it is Yannick Sinner. He's number 8 seed. He's safely through to the quarterfinals. He beat David Galan by 7-6, 6-4 and 6-3. A seeded player that is out is number 26 seed Denis Shapovalov of Canada. He lost to Romain Soufilin. Andrei Rublev, number 7 seed, is also through to the quarterfinals. He had a tough 5-setter against Alexander Bublik. He's number 23 seed, Bublik, and it was 5 sets, and it is Andrei Rublev of Russia winning 6-4 in the 5th set. On the women's side of the draw, it is number 1 seed Iga Swiatek that is through to the quarterfinals for the first time ever. She's the world number 1, but the best performance at Wimbledon before this tournament was the 4th round. She had a very tough game against Belinda Bencic of Austria. It is Swiatek that won that game in the 3rd set by 6-3. She had 2 match points that she had to avert in the 2nd set. She will next play Elena Svitolina. She is from Ukraine, and she beat Victoria Azarenka, the 19th seed, by 2-6, 6-4 and 7-6. Also still a good tournament for the American Jessica Pegula. She's a number 3 seed, and she beat Lesia Turenka by 6-1 and 6-3 quite convincingly, also through to the quarterfinals. Continuing international sports news with cycling news, the Tour de France, also in the 2nd week for Tour de France. It will continue up till the 23rd of July. And news from stage 9 is that Michael Woods, he's from Canada, won stage 9, a very difficult stage in the mountains. He won it in 4 hours, 19 minutes and 41 seconds. Second place, Pierre Latour of France, 28 seconds behind him. South African Louis Meintjes, he got in 24th in stage 9. He was 10 minutes and 25 seconds behind the winner. In the general classifications, it is still Jonas Vingegaard that is leading. He's got a combined time of 38 hours, 37 minutes and 46 seconds. And just 17 seconds behind him is Tadej Pogačar. Pogačar made up some seconds. That was on stage 9. In 3rd position, it is Jay Hindley of Australia, and he's 2 minutes and 40 seconds behind. So it looks like a cyclist race at the moment. It's probably going to be the winner between Jonas Vingegaard and Tadej Pogačar, but lots of cycling still to come. In 12th position in the general classification, still a good performance by Louis Meintjes of South Africa. He is 8 minutes and 50 seconds behind in 12th position. And closing off today's international sports news with golf news, that's results from the US PGA, the LIV Golf, and also on the women's LPGA. Firstly, on the US men's PGA, it was a John Deere Classic, and there it was the winner Sepp Strata of Austria, and he was the winner by 21 under par. Best performance Southern African interest, tied for 21st, was Garrick Hugo on -13. Then on the DP World Tour, that's an old European tour, and that is Rasmus Højgaard. He's the winner. He had a playoff against Nacho Elviro, and they both finished on 13 under, 6 playoff holes, but it was in the end Rasmus Højgaard that won the DP World Tour. Then also LIV Golf, that is the London edition of LIV Golf that was played, and the winner there, Cameron Smith, on 15 under par, beating Mark Leishman and also Patrick Reed into 2nd place on 14 under par. And then it was the US Open for women. That was Alison Corpus that won that one. Her first ever tournament win on the LPGA, and she made it the US Open at Pebble Beach. And she came in with the last round of 69. That was for the winning total of -9. The best finish for Southern African interest, tied 68th. That was Ashley Buhai of South Africa. She unfortunately finished with a round of 80. That was good enough for a total of +14. That's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day, and we talk international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
You're watching Africa Good Morning. If you're just joining us, here are the news highlights. Hunger haunts Ethiopia's Tigray region after years of war. Cholera warning as South African death toll nears 50. Niger in the grip of a blistering heatwave with high temperatures. In Mozambique, double taxation agreements in the extractive sector penalize the country, according to AIM.
And with that, we've come to the end of the broadcast. Thank you for joining us on this cold Tuesday morning. Do remember that you can catch Africa Good Morning tomorrow, same time, same place. From me, Glenn Rashipura.
And me, Diana Master. We wish you a lovely Tuesday ahead.